A very good evening to all my dear students. A very warm welcome for today's class. As you all know, we have completed chapter 1 to 4 revision LVRC sessions of corporate laws. So we have done with preliminary incorporation of companies, chapter 3 prospectus allotment of securities, as well as chapter 4 revision of share capital and debentures. In today's 2.5 hours, we are going to revise two chapters, that is chapter number 5, acceptance of deposits, as well as chapter number 6, that is registration of charges. Good evening, Lukesh, Krishna, Goel, all of you, welcome for today's class. So I hope you have been doing your descriptive questions as well as all the questions that we have discussed in LVRCs. There is no doubt in that. So today we are going to head towards a new chapter, that is acceptance of deposits. So who is going to tell me first the definition of deposit? Because in LVRC, we are going to do number of MCQs questions in which I am going to test your knowledge. How much are you aware? How much have you revised? So it is your revision. You have to answer me before we even start any question. What is the meaning of the word deposits? So yes, in the chat box, you can answer me. Do we give any security if we are accepting a deposit? Yes or no? Are there any exclusions when we hear the word deposit? Yes, I hope the chat box is working for all of you. Or anyone would like to raise their hands and explain us. Is there any exclusions? Is it an inclusive definition? What is the meaning of the word deposits? All right. So deposits is any sum of money received. That's correct. Any sum of money received out of which many things are excluded. So you want to revise the definition once? Tell me. If you want, we can have a quick recap of the definition of deposits because that's a very, very important thing. Then only you will be able to. Are you able to hear me, students? All right. So I was saying deposits definition is very, very important. So let's have a run through for the definition of deposits and then we will be asking number of questions. So deposits has been defined under section 2 clause 31, which includes any sum received by a company by way of deposits. But there are following things which are not considered as deposit as given under rule 2. Any amount received from the government, whether it is a central or state government, it is a foreign government, or any loan received from banking company, is it a deposit? Yes, ma'am. Is it a deposit? Yes or no? Cooperative societies. Dhruti, Lokesh, very good. Now I can get your answers. Good, Rajbir. It's not a deposit. All right. Then intercorporate loans was there. Commercial papers. If I have received the share application money, if I've received the share application money and I'm supposed to allot the securities in next 60 days, if I don't allot the securities, then within how many days I'm supposed to refund that money to the subscribers? In the chat box, quickly, students. 15 days, very good. Otherwise, from 16th day, it will be counted as a deposit. Mr. Ishan is asking, is it necessary to write sub-rule or subsection? Not at all, Mr. Ishan. Even if you remember the correct section, that's a very great thing. So it's very, very difficult. You know, you are writing 3 papers and then expecting yourself to be an expo in accounts also and law also. See, we are going to be an expo in law, but then even if you write the sections, it's fine. If you don't remember the section, forget it as per the provisions of Companies Act लिख देना. रेफरेंस दे देना बट गलत सेक्शन नहीं लिखना एंड सब रूल एंड सब सेक्शन तो भूल जाओ इट्स ओके नॉट रिक्वायर्ड नाउ सम रूल्स आर लाइक व्हेन when it is repetitively heard, na, Ishan, like Rule 2 specifically talks about the amounts which are not considered as deposit. So when you're learning, you're revising again and again. So these kind of important things do come to your mind when you're writing the paper. But never write a wrong section or a... Now, if you have received any money from a company as a director of the company or a relative, and what are the two things, conditions to be fulfilled in order to call that amount not as a deposit? Dhruti is answering well. Rajveer is answering well. What about others? Declaration, excellent. That this amount is not out of the borrowing, and also disclose the details of the amount in the board report. Then what were the bonds and debentures which are secured by first charge or pari passu shall not be considered as deposits? कौन से हैं ये? If they are convertible into shares in 10 years, if they have been issued by way of not constituting a charge on the assets of the company, and they are listed on a recognized stock exchange, if these conditions are satisfied, then they will not be considered as a deposit. Company not exceeding his annual salary. So if I'm paying a salary of 5,000 rupees per month to an employee, Mr. X, and I have taken a money of rupees 1 lakh from this employee, Mr. X, will it be considered as a deposit or not? And it is not bearing any interest. Good, Lakesh. Good, Rajveer. Of course, because if it is exceeding the annual salary, then yes, it will be considered. Dhruti has also given the correct answer. Lukesh, Rajveer, and Dhruti, good. Any amount received and held in trust, again non-interest bearing, that is also correct. Now, what was the conditions for the advances? Any advance that I have received, number one, for the supply of goods and services within 365 days, goods and services have been supplied, or for purchasing any immovable property, I have received an advance. So, you know the token money that we pay for purchasing immovable property. So, if somebody has paid the advance, company has received for the business purposes, any advance has been received for the immovable property, and this advance will be adjusted against the full payment, or as a security deposit has been received, or for any long-term projects, all these amounts shall not be considered as a deposit if within 365 days you have received the goods and services and other respective conditions have been complied with. But if the amount received under A, B, and D, D was the future services. First is advance for goods and services, immovable property, security deposit, and long-term projects. So for the immovable property, goods and services, and long-term projects, if it becomes refundable, when does it become refundable? When the company accepting the money does not give the approval to deal in the goods and services for which the money is taken, then this amount shall be returned on the expiry of 15 days. And then if you don't return this money from on 15 days, then from 16th day, it will be treated as the deposit. All these things have to be learned by. And then what was the amount received by the promoters? What was the condition for the promoters? It's an unsecured loan from the lending institution is also contributing the same amount you have received from the promoter. Listen very carefully, because in the questions, I'm not going to give you the answers. You will be answering me. I'm helping you to revise the concept, but when I ask you the MCQs and questions, then you will answer. So amount received by the promoters, and there is a condition that promoters will also lend the same amount that you're borrowing from the bank, and the loan is provided by themselves or their relatives, and the exemption is available only till this loan has not been repaid. After that, if you don't repay the promoter's loan, it will become a deposit. Amount accepted by Nidhi companies is not a deposit. Again, chit funds is not a deposit. Collective investment scheme wale paise jo hote hain, that is not a deposit. Now comes the most important part, that is 25 lakh rupees or more, 25 lakh और उससे ज़्यादा, received by a startup company by the way of convertible note. What is the meaning of convertible note? ऐसा नोट या बॉन्ड जो इक्विटी शेयर्स में अगले 10 सालों में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. such a kind of bond or note which is converted into equity shares in the coming 10 years. So 25 lakhs or more if such money is received by a startup company, which will get converted into equity shares on the happening of any event in not exceeding in 10 years, means within the period of 10 years, in a single tranche from any person, then it is considered as a, not considered as a deposit. So if 15 lakhs is received by a startup company in a way of convertible note in a single tranche, will it be considered as a deposit? Yes or no? No, ma'am. Why? If it is borrowed fund, then not. No. Very good. Why? Because 20. Very good. Very good. Now everybody has given the correct answer. Why? Because the condition is 25 lakhs or more. 25 लाख या उससे ज्यादा अगर आप रिसीव करते हैं, then it is not a deposit. But if the lesser amount is received, anyways, it becomes a deposit. Now answer the following citing relevant provisions of the Companies Act. Wire Electricals Limited, having a paid-up share capital of 1 crore, availed a term loan of 10 lakhs from ABC Bank to purchase the electrical items. Mr. Tar, one of the directors of the company, is of the opinion that it shall be considered as deposit. All right. So you have to tell me, is this contention correct? Second part is a government company which is eligible to accept the deposits under section 76 cannot accept deposits from public exceeding 25% of the aggregate of paid up capital, free reserves, and security premium account. Is this correct? So I want answer point number A and point number B both. So how are we going to answer this? Now, if you don't remember rule 2, 1C, 3, कोई बात नहीं, हम क्या लिखेंगे? As per the company's acceptance of deposit rules, इतना तो हमें याद हो ही जाएगा, क्योंकि rules में ही exemption दी गई है एंड कंपनी के ही रूल्स हैं, तो एज पर कंपनीज एक्ट भी लिख दिया तब भी ठीक है, कंपनीज रूल्स 2014 लिख दिया, देन आल्सो फाइन. एनी अमाउंट रिसीव्ड, सी चिल्ड्रन डोंट राइट इन द एग्जाम पार्ट ए नो, ऐसे मत लिख कर आना पेपर में. यू आर अ प्रोफेशनल नाउ, यू गोइंग टू बी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट सून, सो लर्न टू राइट द पेपर इन अ वेरी प्रोफेशनल वे. सारी लाइन क्वेश्चन में से ही लेनी है. होल ऑफ द लाइन हैज बीन टेकन फ्रॉम द क्वेश्चन ओनली. सी, any amount received by a company by way of term loan from ABC Limited to purchase electrical item. Since one of the director is saying this will be considered as deposit, no, since it is falling under the exemption under the company's rule, therefore it is not considered as a deposit. Therefore, his contention is not correct. All right. So you have to write this line. If you're expecting to get 1 out of 1 or 2 out of 1, you should write like this. Very good, Rajveer. You remember the limit of 35% also. That's amazing. So now second part of the question deals with section 76. We have not currently revised it, but yes, you all know that government company cannot accept or deposits if the amount together with other deposits outstanding exceeds 35% of the aggregate PSC, SPA and free reserves. Therefore, the limit of 25% is not correct. Government company के लिए limit क्या है? It shall not exceed 35%. Correct? Fine. Everybody's clear? Let's move to another question because we have so many questions of deposits also and registration of charges also. So first we'll quickly do certain questions and then I will be giving you a chance to answer. Yes, yes. सिर्फ rule 2 लिखेंगे तब भी चलेगा, बिल्कुल चलेगा ईशान. Absolutely fine. RS Limited received share application money. Now this is very, very simple, your favorite question, but only involves the how well have you read the question, how well have you understood the dates. So read this question and answer me in the chat box. I give you 2 minutes. Everybody is going to do this question. Share application money has been received. Customer wants that the refund has been done by the way of book adjustment. Is it correct or not? What will you say? Yes, everybody. So I'm giving you 1 minute for reading time and 1 minute for answering. Full amount will be treated as deposit. Okay. What else? Only one answer I've received so far. So within how many days the amount should have been refunded? Is it asking you about that? No, ma'am. It has written that amount instead of refunding, a book adjustment entry has been done. Entire amount shall deem to be deposit and company should comply with the provisions of. Okay, I forgot to tell you that why do we have a debate that whether it should be a deposit or whether it not should be a deposit? Because there are 16 exemptions which says that it is not a deposit. Then chapter number 5 is not applicable to those figures. But if it is a considered as deposit, then all the provisions of the Companies Act relating to chapter number 5 deposits will become applicable to them. So you have to examine the validity of this report if it is a deposit or not. Now, when we discuss about the part of share application, the amount should be refunded in 15 days. There is the only two ways that share application money has to be used, either allot the securities or refund the amount. In any way, if you are making any book adjustment, that shall not be considered as the refund. And once it is not clear the refund, then it shall become the deposit for the company. Let's understand the answer here, how it has written. So as per rule 2, following is not a deposit. What is not a deposit? Any share application money received for allotment of securities, which is appropriated only against the amount due on allotment. If the securities was received cannot be allotted in 60 days, ma'am, please return them in 15 days. We have understood. It is also clarified that any adjustment, अब ये लाइन पेपर में जो नहीं लिखेगा ना वो नंबर मत एक्सपेक्ट करना. अगर आप ये 60 and 50 days लिख रहे हो, that means yes, children has revised, they know about it. But what am I asking? Answer is based on this line. If you're not writing, you're not telling him this clarification. Defeated. The purpose of the question gets defeated. I will give you one a mark or half a mark for sharing your knowledge of 60 and 15 days. Well done. But when you give me this line, when you give me the correct conclusion, you get 3 out of 3. So any adjustment of the amount for any other purpose is not a refund. In the given question, they have received this money and failed to allot. The company has adjusted the amount received from Mr. Khanna by book adjustment. Then what will happen? Conclusion next page पे दिया उसने. So if the application money is not refunded, it will be treated as deposit. After the lapse, not refunded shall be treated. So it is not correct in treating the entire amount. However, any adjustment which shall not be refunded, which has not been refunded, that amount cannot be treated as refund. Means ये 5 lakhs वाली refund नहीं हुई है, इसको हम deposit मान लेंगे. But जो time period निकलने से पहले आपने कर दिया है refund, that is not treated. So entire 50 lakhs, what does it say? If the application money is not refunded to the subscribers, within 15 days from the completion of 60 days, then it will be treated as deposit. 60 days will end on 31st July 2009. Company has 15 more days to refund the money. After the lapse of 15 days, company not so refunded will be treated as deposit. The CS is not correct in treating the entire amount as deposits. Why? Because he has refunded the money. No, I'll show you. He says amount that was payable to him. Share application was received on 1st June 2019 but failed to allot within the time. Share application of 5 lakh की adjustment करी है हमने towards the dues payable. The company secretary reported that the entire amount of 50 lakh will be deposited. As on 31st July, company is required to comply with the provisions. So have you understood? The amount which you have not refunded shall be treated as deposit, but the other amount shall not be considered as a deposit. All right. Now, question number 3, promoter's question in front of you on the screen. Everybody read the question and try to give the answers. Everyone should try the answer for this one. It's very, very simple. Promoters have contributed in the form of unsecured loan. Yes, ma'am, first condition is correct. In fulfillment of the margin money requirement given by the corporation limited, that is SIDCL, for granting loan. This corporation is giving the loan on this condition that the promoters will also give the loan. Hence, we have done that any promoter who is contributing unsecured loan just because there is a condition imposed by the lending bank and they are providing the loan themselves or their relatives, and this exemption is available only till the loan is repaid. Therefore, this amount will not be considered as deposit as it is being bought because of the stipulation. Stipulation means condition imposed by the corporation limited and the loan is provided by the promoters themselves. In the same question, had it been unsecured loan given by Mr. X, the relative of a promoter, will it change your answer, yes or no? Will the answer remain the same if it would have been the relative of the promoter? Rajveer, Lokesh, Dhruti, wonderful answers. Very good, Ishan. Yes, ma'am, it will not change. Why? Because promoter and relative दोनों लिखा है. ये चीजें ना थोड़ी सी मिक्सअप हो जाती हैं. हाइलाइटर यूज करा करो डिफरेंट कलर पेन का जिसमें आपको रिलेटिव, प्रमोटर, डायरेक्टर, रिलेटिव्स ताकि आपको याद रहे कहाँ पे रिलेटिव है कहाँ पे नहीं. Question number 4 in front of you on the screen. Very interesting question and having number of different kind of points. So read it carefully and keep answering first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And 5 marks questions can come like this. It can also come as a way of an MCQ. Yes or no बताना होगा आपने. So पूरी रिवीजन हो जाएगी आपकी डिपॉजिट डेफिनेशन की इस क्वेश्चन से. Anyone is wanting to raise their hand also, they can also answer because the session becomes a little interactive. It becomes more interesting. You can raise your hand if you want. So one of the directors of a startup company requested his friend to lend the money in a single tranche by convertible note, repayable within a period of 6 years from the date of issue. First वाले केस में yes or no? Very good. Cannot take 25 lakhs in a single tranche. More than 25 lakhs, not a deposit, not a deposit. Lokesh, Dhruti. Within 6 months, grow good. Single tranche, Rajveer, excellent. So first is not a deposit. All the conditions have been met. Polestar received a loan of 30 lakh from Rachna, who is one of the directors. Who will give me the answer for second one? Anyone would like to give me the answer by raising their hand for Polestar Traders Limited? Okay, so let's do the first and second part. Second, also you need two conditions to be fulfilled. So this is how you're going to give the answer for the first part. Number one, it is a startup company. Number two, amount received is 25 lakhs or more. Number three, it is by way of convertible note. 1, 2, 3 ka matlab hai, these are the points that you should write in your exam. The way of learning how you divide it. Repayable in period of 10 years. So 6 years mein pay kar raha hai. And fifth is single tranche. Then it is not a deposit. This is the provision that I've given. Then I will write in the given case, it is a startup company, received 30 lakhs in a single tranche by way of note within 6 years. Therefore, it is not a deposit. Therefore, it is not a deposit. For the second one, he's saying a director who is giving loan to the company is not a deposit, provided two things have to be furnished. Number one, a written declaration that the amount is not out of the funds taken by borrowing. And number two, this amount is given as a disclose the details of this money in the board's report. It is assumed that Rachna was one of the directors, received the loan. It is assumed that they have furnished to the company a written declaration, and also company has disclosed the detail. Therefore, this will not be considered as deposit. So you write the word now that we are assuming that these two conditions have been fulfilled. सिर्फ yes no से काम नहीं चलेगा एग्जाम में. Okay, remember that. City bakers fail to repay deposits of 50 crores and interest due thereon, even after the time granted by the tribunal. Is there any liability or penalty for the company or Swati, the officer in default? So let's do the answer for the third one. By not repaying the deposits and the interest, City Bakers has contravened the provisions of Section 73. आपको Section 73 ना भी याद आए तो आप बोल देना has contravened the provisions of Companies Act of Acceptance of Deposit. Following penalty will be charged. Punishment for the company will be the company, in addition to the payment of amount of deposit and interest, will also have the fine of 1 crore or twice the amount. See, children, I keep telling you 3 chapters very important for penalty. Chapter number 5, chapter number 6, auditors, chapter number 10, and chapter 11. You know why? Because chapter number 10 की penalty तो वैसे ही important है, because auditors, you are going to be chartered accountants once you're done with your CA and then you become the auditor. So you should know aware about the penalties. But 5, 6, 10, 11, 11 is again foreign coming. These are small chapters, 5, 6, 11, where only 1, 1, 2, 2 penalties are given. So you must learn them, important penalties. When it is talking about chapter number 2, incorporation, number of places, forms, and penalties are coming up. It's okay, give it a reading. Don't take a burden on your mind. Chapter number 3, 4, also 447. Chapter number 3, 447 and 34, 35, 36. वो अपनी liabilities बहुत सारी बात करें, वो learn हो जाएगा आपको. But जहाँ पे ये specific ये वाले 4 chapters है ना, where the penalties are less, try to learn them in a good way. Okay, because limited information is good to be kept in mind rather than having too much of the information, out of which you tend to forget so many things. All right, very good. So officer in deposit, यहाँ पे 1 crore or twice the amount of the deposit, which makes 10 to 10 crores also. कितनी बड़ी penalty है ना, सोचो गलती नहीं कर सकते आप deposits मानकर उसको repayment ना कर कर. And Swati, officer in default, will be entitled to imprisonment, which can go up till 7 years. Just imagine. ऑफिसर इन डिफॉल्ट को 7 साल की जेल हो सकती है. ध्यान से काम करना भाई, कंपनी में घपला नहीं होना चाहिए. इफ यू आर एन ऑफिसर इन डिफॉल्ट, and 25 lakhs to 2 crores penalty. But if Swati proves that she has contravened such provisions knowingly or willfully tried to cheat the company or shareholders or depositors, बाप रे 447 भी लग जाएगा. Punishment for fraud. Section 447 is very important. Wherever 447 is mentioned, you must learn that provision very nicely, okay? Because it's an important provision. Clear? Everybody's clear about this penalty now? I hope you'll not forget it. Now, Srinagar Readymade Garments wants to accept the deposit of 50 lakh from the members for a tenure which is less than 6 months. पूरा चैप्टर रिवाइज करा देता है ये वाला क्वेश्चन. 6 मंथ से कम ले सकते हैं, बताइए. टाइम पीरियड के बारे में बात कर रहा है. What about the time period? Yes. What about the time period? Not less than 3 months. Minimum time is 3 months. Okay. So you will tell them the exact time period that they cannot accept and renew or deposits not less than 6 months. Further, maximum period cannot be 36 months. But exception has been given to renew or accept the deposits repayment earlier than 6 months if it shall not exceed 10% of the paid up capital. If it shall not exceed 10% of the aggregate paid up capital free reserves and SPA, one condition. If it is payable on or after 3 months. So in the given case, they want to accept the deposits which is less than 6 months. Number one, they can do it not less than 3 months and 10% से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. Everybody, Rajbir has given, Lukesh has given, Dhruti has given. Again, 3 students regularly giving correct answers. That's wonderful. So Lukesh, you will also give these reasons, okay? Not less than 3 months. Only if 2 conditions are satisfied, that is 10% wala and 3 months wala. Now, the last one, is it in the order of Diamond Housing Finance Limited to accept and renew deposits from the public from time to time? So, Diamond Housing Finance Limited, क्यों दे रहा होगा ये? कुछ बात है क्या यहाँ पे? Diamond Housing Finance Limited डिपॉजिट्स ले सकता है पब्लिक से. Section 73 subsection 1 क्या बताता है हमें? Company cannot accept, renew or take the deposit from public unless it follows provisions of Chapter 5 that is given under Section 76 of the Companies Act. But there is a provision to Section 73 subsection 1. You will not learn this provision word, but I'm just telling you where it is written, okay? Prohibition is given. This prohibition will not apply to housing finance company, which is registered under NBFC NHP. It is assumed that it is registered under national housing, therefore prohibition contained under this will not be acceptable, shall not apply. In other words, it is an exempted company, can accept deposits from the public from time to time without following the prescribed manner. Now, do you remember about this? Very less students have answered this one. Yes, why it is not liable? You want to revise this? Let's have a quick recap of section 73 also so that you're able to happily answer the other questions also. You want to revise section 73, students? Let me find where it is. Yes, it's found. So this is your section 73, which tells you that nothing, this prohibition that you cannot accept the deposits from public is not applicable to a banking company and non-banking financial institutions, okay, which are defined under RBI. However, the company can still accept the deposits from its members. So section 73 generally talks about how we accept the deposits from the members. But in the introduction, when you go to subsection 1, it simply tries to tell you that you cannot accept deposits from the public unless you follow section 76. But this is not applicable to banking and non-banking financial companies as given by RBI, which includes your national housing finance companies also. Now let's understand how the deposits are accepted from the members. First of all, DPT-1 form is issued. This is a circular which is issued giving the credit rating, number of depositors, and all the details are given so that the members know what is the company all about and it is going to accept the deposits. How will you publish this DPT form? It will be given in the registered post, will be sent also in the English language newspaper and vernacular newspaper. Certificate of the statutory auditor should also be attached. What will statutory auditor tell you? That this company is a very good company. It has not defaulted in any repayment of deposits. File the copy of the statement with the registrar and this will remain valid. How? What is the time period for the circular validity? 6 months from the close of financial year or the date on which अब ये MCQ के लिए बहुत important questions बन जाते हैं क्योंकि अब last days है 1.5 month is left. Just try to be very carefully revising the provisions out of which MCQs can come up. Okay, so this is an MCQ based question that earliest of the following date, 6 months from the close of financial year or the date on which AGM was supposed to be held, no AGM held, then the date on which it was supposed to be held. Till that time period, circular will remain valid. All right. After this is very, very simple provisions. File the copy with the registrar within 30 days. It shall not be less than 15% of the amount of the deposits. And this is your deposit repayment reserve. How much amount has to be maintained? 15% of the amount of deposits maturing in the financial year and the financial year following next year and kept in a scheduled bank in a separate bank account. So whatever deposits are getting matured in the financial year, 15% of the amount respect of that has to be deposited in the deposit repayment reserve account. Security also to be given for such kind of deposits that you're taking from the public. So companies' assets are given as a security. A charge is also created, which will tell us under section 6, chapter number 6. Exemption to certain private companies. Now it says, provided the company does not get the deposits or take the deposits, partially the deposits shall be termed as unsecured. So अगर आपने पूरी security नहीं दी है तो उसको unsecured मान लिया जाएगा. Exemption is given to the private companies. So it says private companies clauses A to E. These are the clauses A to E related to your fresh circular for inviting the deposits and all these circular related deposits. This is not required for the private companies. Which private companies? Which is accepting the money from the members, not exceeding 100% of the paid up share capital free reserve and security premium. If it is a startup company, for the first 5 years, it is exempted. And the company which fulfill all these 3 conditions. Now, how do we learn this for the last days? So you already know that there are 3 conditions for the private companies, which is not following the concepts of circular A to E clauses, which is that number 1, 100% से कम होना चाहिए आपका paid up share capital and free reserves and security premium से जो आपने पैसा लिया है, and first 5 years के लिए startup private company के लिए. And then those companies which are fulfilling these 3 conditions, that is, you're not an associate subsidiary of any other company. If the borrowing from banks or financial institution is less than twice the paid up share capital of 50 crore, whichever is lower, and the company has not defaulted at the time of accepting the deposits and any repayment. However, such company shall file the details of the monies accepted in the DPT-3 form. So DPT-3 form still has to be followed from them. These companies, clauses 1 to 3 वाली में DPT-3 फिर भी जाएगा, but these companies are exempted from DPT-1 circular related details. Is that clear to everyone? So the interest has to be given. Tribunal के पास कब जाते हो? If you fail to repay, depositor can go to the tribunal. Deposit repayment reserve has to be maintained. Maximum amount of deposits. What can be the maximum amount of deposits from the members? I want to know from my students. What is the maximum amount of deposits? Yes, Dhruti, it should be 20%. I'll just find out why it is showing 15%. Maximum amount of deposits? How much maximum amount of deposit you can take from the members? Tell me. 35% of the aggregate paid up capital free reserves in security premium account. If you're a specified IFSC public company and Section 8 and private companies, then more than 100% also you can take. But the maximum limit, again, for those startup private companies for 10 years, and if you're not fulfilling these three conditions, then the limits remain the same. Maximum limit in respect of this shall not apply to the following private companies. All right. So this is for your revision. Acceptance of deposit from the members, 35% of these limits for the normal companies, 100% of the limits for the private companies and specified IFSC public companies. And there is no limit for startup companies more than 10 years in their first 10 years and private company which satisfy three conditions. What were the three conditions? What were the three conditions? We just did 5 years, startup, not an associate or any other company, subsidiary. Borrowings are less than twice the amount of paid up share capital of 50 crore and the company has not defaulted in any of the repayment of deposits. Now, before we revise section 76, it talks about the eligible public company. Now, it is your revision. You have to tell me what is the meaning of eligible public company that is allowed to accept the deposits from the public. So what are the conditions that we have to remember? A public company which can accept the deposits from public at large only if it is a public company means it should never be a private company. It has a net worth of minimum 100 crores or a turnover of minimum 500 crores. So if there is ABC Limited, a private company, a public company, having a turnover of 200 crores and the net worth of 500 crores. I said a turnover of 200 crores and the net worth of 500 crores. Can it accept the deposits from the public? Everybody says yes, ma'am. Why? Isn't it important to fulfill both the conditions? No, ma'am, because there is the word or. Or is the important condition. SR will be passed then, and OR is sufficient if the limit is within 180 subsection 1 clause C, that is 100% of the paid up share capital free reserve and security premium. If you're borrowing in that limit, then OR is sufficient. Otherwise, SR needs to be passed. Then only you can borrow the money from the public, and this SR should also be filed with the ROC. So only the eligible public companies which are following the criteria of net worth and turnover can borrow the money, can take the deposits. SROR वाली बात हो गई. Credit rating has to be taken. Why do we need a credit rating, children? What is the credit rating? Adequate security has to be given to the public that it's a very good company. You know, like banks give you CIBIL score that, okay, if Harleen ma'am is asking for a loan, so bank will check your CIBIL score. I hope you have not done any default. I hope you have good financial position to repay my loan. That is why credit rating has to be taken. Companies has gone to the public. Please give me your money as deposits. So if you're borrowing money from the public as deposits, they would like to see your credit rating. That is, will you be able to repay my deposit or not? If you're just taking money, I want to know what is your good rating, what is your good financial position. Maximum amount of deposits, how much you can accept? 35% of the PSC, FR, and security premium. Eligible company is permitted to accept the deposits from the members, maximum 10%, and from the public, that is maximum 25%. Okay, and then circular again in DPT 1 has to be given. At least 30 days of the issue of the advertisement, a copy has to be filed with the ROC. Validity of the advertisement is again same date, same सब कुछ दिया हुआ जो आपने section 73 में पढ़ा है. But we will see the dear. Yeah, here it is correct, Peter. Deposit repayment reserve. So we will do the deposit repayment reserve from here. Don't do that 15%. It is actually 20%. I don't know why it is written. I have to check it. Company is required to deposit the amount on or before 30th April. So before 30th April, you will have to deposit the amount. How much amount? Say, for example, the deposits which are maturing in the next financial year is 1 lakh rupees. So what is 20% of 1 lakh rupees? What is 20% of 1 lakh rupees? 20,000. 20,000. This 20,000 has to be kept in a separate bank account. This is known as deposit repayment reserve. Now, this amount will be used for repaying of the deposits. The amount so deposited shall not be used for any other purpose other than repayment of deposits. And while I'm repaying the deposits, say for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, I've repaid. Then this 20,000 should not fall below 20% of the amount of deposits maturing during the financial year. Suppose the deposits which are maturing during the financial year are 50,000. 50,000 का 20% करो जल्दी, बहुत थोड़ा आ जाएगा. 10,000. So 10,000 should be the minimum amount that shall be maintained. Means out of this 20,000, 1,000, 5,000, 6,000 if I've paid, can I repay more? No, ma'am. Even the 6,000 one you cannot repay full. Only 5,000 will be paid because you have to maintain minimum balance of 10,000. I hope it's now absolutely clear to all of you. Tenure remains the same. Creation of the asset is the security that you have given. Anything else? You have any doubts in this topic? Yes, trustee has to be appointed. The one that we did in debenture, same kind of trustee has to be appointed. Written consent has to be taken, and the trust deed will be made in DPT2 form. 7 days before issuing the circular, it has to be made. Following are the people who cannot act as the trustee, director, KMP officer, indebted to the company, or having any material pecuniary relationship with the company, all those points. Can you remove the trustee? Yes, with the consent of all the directors. One independent director has to be present. We can remove them. Can the meeting of depositors to be called by the trustee? Yes, if trustee really feel that there is a need to call the meeting on the request received from 1/10 of the depositors, or there is a default in the opinion of trustee, then he can request them to have a meeting. Register of depositors is very simple. You just simply have to remember what all points are there. That register has to be maintained. Yes, what is premature of deposit? Who is going to tell me? Premature of deposit. So what was the provision of premature? If you are repaying the deposits shorter than the 6 months time period or the time period that has been given, so then whatever the interest rate was to be paid to you, 1% lesser will be paid back if you do any premature repayment of deposits. So everybody is geared up for question number 5. Vrinda is a company manufacturing orange and strawberry candies. They want to expand their business and start the manufacturing of 10 more type of candies. So they want to raise 1 crore through issue of non-convertible debentures, not having a charge on the assets of the company and listed on a recognized stock exchange as per the applicability of SEBI. Advise whether 1 crore will be considered as deposit, yes or no. Very good, Rajbir Ray. Correct point. Others? Everybody has to give the correct answer. Okay, all of you says that it cannot be deposit. What is the reason? Because there are 3 conditions. Secured, convertible, non-convertible, secured and listed. So if it is not secured, so the relevant provision, any amount raised having shall be listed as per the applicable. Here, the amount will not be considered as deposit. Why? Because not constituting a charge. So security is also important. Clear? Enumerate the cases in which the amount received by the company in the ordinary course of business are not to be considered as deposits. Now, children, question number 6 in front of you on the screen. This is a very interesting question. This is specifically asking about what are the amount received in the ordinary course of business. Now, when he asks you such kind of questions, he is specifically talking about the amount of advances received, immovable property, adjustment of that amount, security deposit. ये वाला लिखना है. सारे मत लिख कर आ जाना. 2K16 K16. He is asking you in the ordinary course of business. Can you connect? He is only asking about clause 12, 21C, subclause 12. Okay, everybody's clear? What is the procedure to be followed by the company for acceptance of deposit from the members according to the Companies Act, and what are the exemptions available to private companies? देखा पूछता है private company के बारे में, इसलिए वो learn करना is important. So you will tell them deposit from the members की बात करें तो section 73 चिपका कर आना. You'll simply write about the DPT circular, DPT 1, it has to be issued, फिर DRR के बारे में बता देना है. No default has to be made, any security has to be given, basic points. Then exemption is given to certain private companies. What are the private companies? 1, C and E will not be followed for those private companies which are accepting less than 100%, which is start up for 5 years and which fulfill 3 conditions. So twice the paid up capital of 50 crore learn हो जाती है बार-बार पढ़ने से, because see children, what you have to do is you have to do the chapter, read all the descriptive questions, and now is the last few days in which at least flip through the pages of MTP RTPs. एक बार पढ़ना जरूरी है. अब लिखने की प्रैक्टिस चलो कर ली क्लास में भी, और डूइंग इट, यू शुड डू एट होम आल्सो, बट रीडिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नजर जरूर मारनी, क्वेश्चन का आंसर दिया क्या मांग रहा है क्वेश्चन. एक बार जब आपने पढ़ा होता है ना, अब जो भी पढ़ोगे इट विल गेट फेड हियर. सो डोंट वरी हाउ विल आई रिमेम्बर, आई फॉरगेट ऑन द डे ऑफ एग्जाम, ये सब नहीं सोचना. ठीक है? All right, so you want to take a small break here because we have lots and lots of to do. So I want to give you a small break. So Nisarg sir, we are taking a small break here. All right, let's continue further. So, what are the provisions for the appointment of trustee? So, see, such kind of direct questions, if 6 marks question come, so it is you're very lucky because you have already learned the appointment of trustees under debentures also and under the depositors also. So, you will write all these points. You can have a look at the answer. I hope no doubt in this one. We have already discussed it. Yes, all these exemptions have to be given, exceptions have to be given that these person cannot be appointed as the trustee. What are the provisions relating to the credit rating which an eligible company must follow if it wants to raise public deposits? Now, this is a very interesting and important question because credit rating, we have generally read that credit rating is important. But why it is important? Because it tells the net worth and liquidity and ability of the company to pay back the money. And the credit rating should have been obtained once in the year and filed along with the return of deposits in DPT3. It shall not be below the MIG rating, that is minimum investment grade rating. Now, this is a fixed amount. This is a fixed kind of grade which is given. Minimum investment grade, MIG, or that is minimum investment grade rating has to be given for the fixed deposits. Then only you can take the deposits from the public. It can be obtained from any agency specified as non-banking financial companies also. All right, clear? Now choose the correct answer and give reasons. ABC is required to maintain an index of numbers. This one is related to MGT, I suppose, in the register of members because its membership exceeds. Okay, let's see if you can recall. I think this is the question related to your MGT chapter. See the first one and tell me what is the correct answer. Indexation of numbers. You remember the register of members? Children, it's MCQ. You have to answer me. So 50 is the correct answer. Why have we come to this annual return part? Why is it showing me the annual returns in MGT MCQ? Huh? I'm surprised. All right. So everybody has answered that correct. So company having a net worth of 120 crore want to accept the deposit from its members. The directors have approached you to advise them what is the care to be taken while accepting the deposit from the members if the company falls under eligible company. So first of all, children, tell me, do we need to see if it's an eligible company over here, yes or no? And if yes, then what are the conditions to be followed for the eligible company? Read the question very carefully. Good, Lokesh, you remember the answer for that. 50 was the correct answer. Good. No, ma'am, there is no requirement of eligible company. Why? Because it is a requesting the deposits from the members. And when we are taking the deposits from the members, there is no such eligible company limit. Eligible company limit is required only when we're accepting the deposits from the public as well as its members together if the amount is exceeding the percentage that is given. All right. Let's do the next question. Define the term deposits under the provisions and amount received following a deposit or not. 5 lakh raised by Rishi Confectioners Limited through the issue of non-convertible debentures not having a charge on the assets and listed on the recognized stock exchange. 2 lakh received from an employee who draws an annual salary of 1 lakh 50,000 as non-interest bearing, and 3 lakh received by a private company from one of the relatives of the director. The relative has furnished a declaration that the amount received is from the gift received from mother. That means it's not out of the borrowing. So tell me yes, yes, no, 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 yes, whatever is your answer for first, second, and third part. So for the first part, 5 lakhs he is taking as the non-convertible debentures, and even the charge has not been taken, so it will not be considered as deposit, and also it is listed. So non-convertible, non-secured, and listed, it is not deposit. Amount received who's drawing the annual salary is exceeding, therefore it is considered as a deposit. Okay, because the amount is more than annual salary. 3 lakh received from the private company, from the directors, relatives of a director. Declaration has been considered, it is not considered as a deposit. The preceding subclause says any amount received from a director of a private company shall not be considered if the director relative furnishes that the amount is not given out of the funds, and it is, since it is gifted, therefore it is not a deposit. Also, this amount should be disclosed in the board's report. Because you remember, director of a public company or the director of a private company or its relative. Now, this is a theoretical, practical, both kind of question where you have to apply the limits. So it's important that we do such kind of questions. So Wiki Limited engaged in the business of consumers. It is managed by a team of professional managers. The company has not made a default in the repayment of statutory dues and repayment of debentures. With the interest, company has advertised a circular in the newspaper inviting the deposit from the members and publics for the very first time. So it's a public company and we need to see the eligibility first of all. Paid up share capital 70 crores, security premium 20 crores, free reserves and long-term borrowings have been given. Company in the advertisement invited public deposit for a period of 4 months, plan A and plan B for 36 months. First of all, tell the meaning of eligible public company and calculate the maximum amount of deposits that can be accepted based on the latest financial data, and also the maximum amount of deposit they can accept from the public under plan B if it is a wholly owned government company. So this is your November 2020 question, which we are going to discuss in detail. So first of all, you will have to define them eligible company, which we have doing, having a net worth of not less than 100 or turnover of not less than 500 crores. Also, SR has to be passed, prior consent has to be taken, and it shall be filed with the ROC before making any invitation, provided eligible company which is accepting the deposits is within the limit of section 180 subsection 1C, then ordinary designation is required. Clear regarding all the first points? Definition of eligible public company has to be given. Then you will try to solve this question. So paid up share capital 70, free reserves 20, and SP is given. So total worth is 110. Hence, we can say that the net worth exceeds 100 crores. Therefore, yes, it is an eligible company. The tenure for which the deposits can be accepted is, it should not be less than 6 months and the maximum is 36 months. For the purpose of meeting any short-term requirements, company may accept or renew earlier than 6 months. And what were the two conditions? That it shall not exceed 10% of the paid up share capital, free reserves and security premium, and also not minimum 3 months condition has to be met. So here he is talking about 4 months. So that is fine. Eligible company can accept the deposits from other than members as per the law. Together the amount कितना होना चाहिए? 25% of the aggregates exceed नहीं करना चाहिए. Plan A में उसने क्या बोला है? Since the maximum amount shall not exceed 10%. So maximum amount of deposits will be 10% of 110. So 11 crores you can take. For plan B, maximum can be 25% because वो ज़्यादा time के लिए देना है ना. 25% can be the maximum. So 25% of 110 can be taken. In case it's a wholly owned government company, then the plan B will be maximum 35% of 110 crores. Is this clear to everyone? Sometimes the questions seem very tough for you, but it's very, very simple, children, because we have to apply our whole knowledge of the chapter. Okay, Lakesh, Rajveer Ray, everybody says it's clear, ma'am. That's great, wonderful. Now, shall we start with the registration of charges, because we have spent 1 hour 20 minutes on acceptance of deposits. And now I also want to revise with you registration of charges. Any doubt till here, children? Because then we will be moving into registration of charges. Let me also see some MCQs related to this from the study material. This you all remember now, maximum tenure is 36 months. Fin Limited is accepting deposits of various tenures from the members from time to time. Current register of deposits maintained at the registered office is complete. State the minimum period for it should be maintained. 4 years from the date in which the last entry is made. No, ma'am. 4 years to kabhi tha hi nahi. 6 years from which the latest entry is made. No, ma'am. 8 years from when the latest entry is made. 10 years. Okay, tell me. 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. What is the correct answer? Very good, Lokesh. Everybody goes with the 8 years? Good. Every company shall pay a penal rate of interest of dash per annum for the overdue in case of deposits where secured, matured, claim but remaining unpaid. So what is the amount of interest to be charged for the penalty? 18%. Good. As per the provisions of Companies Act, the relevant rule says that it shall not accept the deposits which is repayable on demand in less than dash months. Maximum cannot exceed this, but the purpose of meeting short-term requirements, a company made deposits earlier than this subject to certain conditions. So it will be not less than 6 months, then cannot exceed 36 months, and then earlier than 6 months. Clear to everyone? So here are your answers. A is the correct one. 18% is the correct. 8 years is the correct answer. And all these questions, MCQs as well as the descriptive questions. Very good, Siddhi. First answer has come from Mr. Siddh also. Siddh Sangani. Good. So all these questions are very, very important for you because many a times the questions can directly come from the study material also. Now let's have a quick recap of registration of charges. I hope you remember what was the meaning of registration of charges. So here I'm going to start with this topic. So we are going to have now second revision of the chapter number 6, that is registration of charges. So what is the meaning of definition of charge, first of all? We have been studying that if company is borrowing a loan or company is taking deposits from the public, it is going to give certain type of security. Now, this chapter number 6 entirely talks about not about what type of security to be given, whether it is tangible or intangible or movable. No, it is not. It is saying whatever security the company has given, that charge, that lien that you have created on the asset of the company, it should be registered with the RC. इस charge को आपने register कराना है, so you borrowed money and in return that you have given as a security. So registration of that charge is very, very important because it is a security for the repayment of loan. Tomorrow, if the company fails to repay the loan, the charge holder will sell your security and take their money back. So there are two types of charges. You remember fixed and floating charges. Yes, Rajveer, it's a security. Well done. So what is a fixed charge and what is your floating charges? First tell me. So fixed charge is when you have given certain immovable property as a security, and what is the floating charge? Say, for example, there is a grocery store and you're running a grocery store and you have borrowed a loan of 10 lakh rupees from the bank. And you say that I create the floating charge of my stock in trade. So bank can resell your stocks which are lying over there, your packets of chips, biscuits, and all of the retail items that are lying over there in order to recover the money from them. And was there any crystallization of charges to be done? Can we just crystallize the charge also? Yes, ma'am, crystallization of floating charges. Otherwise, it is a fixed charge, is always permanent in nature, like land and building, machinery. And it is also created by way of mortgage. When the charge is created, it remains fixed, means borrowing company cannot sell such assets. So if I have borrowed money, 5 lakh rupees, and I've given my house or my building of my company as a charge, and I cannot sell this asset. But floating charge, you can still sell your retail shop items. Now, I cannot say that these chips, there is a charge on this chips packet or milk packet. I cannot sell it. No. You sell it, the person charge holder will come and take money from you whenever the repayment becomes due. Otherwise, he will sell your stock and recover the money. So once you repay the money, this charge gets free. Similarly, floating is fluctuating in nature. It keeps on changing because the borrowing company is permitted to use them for trading. So borrowing company can use your products for trading or producing final goods. Crystallization will be done when the company goes into liquidation and creditor enforces the security due to breach of any terms and condition. Now you have defaulted in repayment of the amount and the flow and the company borrowing company is defaulting and or it is going into liquidation, then the floating charge will become fixed charge on all the assets available on the date. So what will happen? The person the company which has borrowed the money from the borrower, that borrower will think that now this company is going into liquidation. Tomorrow they will not pay back my money. So they will pass the order for crystallization, means now you cannot, beyond this particular amount or limit, you cannot resell your items because we want our security first. Yes, winding up or contravention cases. Very good, Rajvire. Absolutely, crystallization happens in those cases. After that, it is the duty of whom to get your charge registered. So we have very tiny section, section 77 to section 87 over here. So whose duty it is? It is company's duty to get the charges registered. Now, always keep telling you the penalties for chapter 5, 6 you should do, and also the forms for chapter 5, 6. Even in PAS, we just had 4, 5 forms. So you should do forms for prospectus also. No need to do so many forms and penalties of share capital and incorporation of companies because it's too huge. But for tiny chapters like this, CHG1, CHG2, ये learn करते करते ही हो जाता है. जब आप बार बार पढ़ते हो ना, आपको कौन सा फॉर्म करना है. CHG1 for other than debentures, CHG9 for debentures. And once you have deposited this form, what form is given by the ROC that your charge has been registered? CHG1 will be deposited by you and you get CHG2. Company or charge holder absolutely can go and get themselves registered. Charge can be for the property within India or outside India. Both can be possible. And the copy of the charge which is created on the property situated outside India, it shall be verified by the company seal or into the hands of director or CS or a person other than the company who is interested in the charge. But when it is situated in India, then it is important that it should be signed by the director or CS or any other authorized officer of the charge holder. बाहर है तो कोई भी साइन कर सकते हैं, अगर सील नहीं है, अगर डायरेक्टर नहीं है. इनसाइड है तो these people are specified. Now, what is the extension of time limited? So the time period has been given when the charge has to be registered if the charge is created before 2nd November 2018. So we will do what is after 2nd November 2018, the charge has to be filed within 30 days. If it is not registered within 30 days, then within 60 days by payment of additional fees. If still it is not registered, then further 60 days time period is given. So 60 over here is given, 61, 20 days are total given, but here you have to pay ad valorem fees. What is ad valorem fees? The fees which is charged as the percentage of the value of the items. What happens under section 77 then? Procedure for filing. Extension can be taken if you feel that the charge has not been registered and you want to extend the time, then you have to document the reasons for the same and it should not be adversely affecting the rights of the creditors. Then you can still apply for the extension. Issue has to be done under CHG2 for fresh registration. Very well answered by Rajiv that we have to give CHG2. What is CHG3 form? Any modification you have made, any charges have changed, or any kind of thing happened in the terms and conditions, then CHG 3 has to be issued. Clear है सबको? No charge created by the company shall be taken into account by the liquidator. Consequences of non-registration: if the charge has not been, why it is important to register the charge? When the company goes into liquidation, then the charge will not be taken into consideration by the liquidator. Means now you have defaulted, you failed to get it registered, now you don't have any security which is secured, and ROC is not aware about that. Okay. Yes, Mrs. Lavanya. Lavanya, you want to ask something?
No, ma'am. By mistake, it's.
Okay, not a problem. So no charges created shall be taken into account by the liquidator if charge is not registered. So charge holder loses his priority. Application for the registration of charges by charge holder. Now, when does section 78 comes into picture? So I told you that if your charge is not registered, then you loses your priority. So then what will happen? So first of all, the company which is creating the charge will go and get the charge registered. If it fails to do so within 30 days, then the charge holder, मतलब जिसने पैसा दिया है कंपनी को, जिसको ये चार्ज मिला है, जिसको सिक्योरिटी मिली है, उसको टेंशन हो जाएगी ना भाई कि अगर कल को मेरा चार्ज, if it is not registered, I will not get my money. It is not secured. So he will go to the registrar and give and ask them that please register my charge. And when this charge holder will go to the registrar will give a notice to the company that company, listen, this charge holder, Mr. X, has come and he is saying that he has given certain money to your company and you have provided him such security. Is it true? Have you given them this kind of security? I hope you don't have any objection on this. So he's sending a show cause notice that if any objection is there, then or company registers the charge themselves, then they will not register it. If no objection has been received in 14 days after giving the notice to the company, then the registrar will register on behalf of charge holder's request. Section 78 is clear to everyone. And what is the time limit? What is the time limit for satisfaction of charges once you have done the payment? Okay, test your knowledge first now, since you have done the time to do certain questions. How will a copy of an instrument evidencing creation of charge required to be filed with the registrar be verified? How this charge instrument that you have created, how does it needs to be verified? So if the charge has been created within India, then it will be verified by the director or secretary or authorized officer. If it is created outside India, then under the seal, any of the company or under the hands of CS or director or authorized officer or any other person in the company who is interested in this mortgage or charge. Right? Now explain the provisions enforced by the company second in ordinance when the charge is created before 2nd November and it is not registered. So I told you that there was a provision before this also that every company within India or outside India on any property, if it has created a charge, is required to get the charge registered within 30 days of its creation. If the charge is created before 2nd November 2018 and it is not registered in 30 days, then the registrar will make the application and allow the period of 300 days. So 2nd November 2018 से पहले it was 30 days and 300 days from the date of creation of charge. So additional 270 days were given. And what is the provision after 2nd November 2018? What I feel that they will be asking you about this kind of provision. Because now we are following this, na? The 30 days with normal fees, additional 30 days, additional fees, and 60 days with ad valorem fees. पहले ad valorem fees नहीं थी, अब ad valorem fees add हो गई. So the maximum time now is 120 days. Define the term charge and explain what is the punishment for the default with respect to registration of charges. So do you get any kind of punishment, penalty, penalized if you have not registered your charge? First of all, defining the term of charge has been defined under Section 2, Clause 16. You will tell them that it is an interest or lien created on the property or assets of the company or any of its undertaking, both as a security and includes mortgage. Can anyone tell me why he is writing the word includes mortgage? What is the meaning of the word includes mortgage? When we use the word mortgage specifically, it means it is talking about the immovable property. So, charge can be on tangible as well as intangible assets. It can be on movable as well as immovable assets. So, mortgage is a little wider term. When it comes to mortgage, means it can exclusively be used for the mortgage also. If any company is defaulting, a penalty of 5 lakh rupees and the officer in default is 50,000 rupees. And if you willfully furnishes a wrong information or conceals the facts, 447 will become applicable. It is very harsh section. So don't try to do any kind of wrong things. Any fraud you do, 447 will become applicable. So even in acceptance of deposit, the question has come related to penalty in the past previous year questions. Even for registration, this question has come. Now read this question. It's very, very important. Renuka soaps and detergents realized on 2nd May that particulars of the charge created on 12th March in favor of a bank were not registered. What procedure should be followed to get the charge register, and would the procedure be different if company realized its mistake on 7th June instead of 2nd May? So now he's typically playing with the numbers, asking you about the application of time period. So the charge in the present case was created after 2nd November. So the charge is different. We have to follow the period of 30 days, and additional 60 days. So if the charge has not been when the charge has been created, it has to be filed within 30 days with the normal fees. If it is not filed within 30 days, then the registrar has given the power to extend by another 30 days on the payment of additional fees. So Renka Soaps has not registered, so they get additional 30 days. So while they are making an application, should immediately file the particulars after satisfying by making an application and not filing the charge within 30 days. If the company realizes the mistake on 7th June instead of 2nd May, then it shall be noted that the period of 60 days has already expired. Now company has another opportunity of getting the charge registered in additional 60 days on payment of ad valorem fees. Therefore, they can get the charge payment on by 11th May. However, they will have to pay ad valorem fees. From 11th May, the 60 days will be counted now. So 11th May, 11th June, 11th July. Company can make an application to the registrar for giving sufficient cause for non-registration. Is that clear, everyone? Question number 4. Again, the same answer. It's all about how you're presenting it, how you're writing it. Okay. All right, read question number 5 and give me the answer, true or false. What should be the correct answer? Everybody should try doing this question. You can raise your hands and answer the question if you know the answer. Now, this is about your satisfaction of charges. So let's revise first satisfaction of charges. Aren't we having over here satisfaction of charges? Okay, this is all about questions. You want to have a quick recap of satisfaction of charges? Yes, students. It's the same one. Which one were we seeing? Okay, I'll show you. Hmm. So you remember satisfaction of charges under section 82? So intimation has to be given. Satisfaction of charge means once you have repaid your loan, then your charge gets free. Means now you're freely, your registration of charges was done. Now ROC will give you the form that your charge is free. So you will file CHG4 with the ROC. Within 30 days of the repayment has been done, company will give an intimation. Notice to the charge holder by the registrar. Now, once the company goes and tells the ROC in 30 days that I have repaid the money, this thing he will tell to the ROC. ROC will go to the bank and give the bank 14 days time and tell them that give me a show cause notice that you don't have any objection. Within 14 days, tell me should I record the satisfaction of charges or no. And if no cause is shown by a bank, that is the charge holder, then he will register the satisfaction of charges and issue SHG 5. SHG 4 you will file for the satisfaction. And if registrar is satisfied, the charge has been paid in full, he will issue the certificate of registration of satisfaction of charges in CHG 5. And then this charge or modification has to be preserved for the period of 8 years from the date of satisfaction. Now, 8 years tha from the date when the deposits have been made. Yahan pe 8 years from the date of satisfaction of charges. So this is your beautifully explained over here, this point. Company will give the intimation to the registrar 30 days time period. If it is not intimated, registrar will allow additional 300 days. So जैसा वहां पर 2 नवंबर 2018 से पहले वाला प्रोविजन था वहां पे भी यही है 30 डेज में बता दें या फिर एडिशनल 270 डेज मींस यहां से टोटल 300 डेज दिएंगे तो ये टोटल 300 डेज है एडिशनल 270 डेज हैज बीन गिवन. No notice to be given if it is signed by the charge holder only. So if you have company has intimated and the sign of the charge holder are already there, then no notice has to be given. Otherwise, 14 days time period will be given to the bank for the charge holder to show cause that why it should not be uh, taken into consideration. Is this clear, children? Everybody is clear? Now, section 83 simply tries to tell you registrar's power to make the entries of satisfaction in the absence of any intimation. Now, company has repaid the money. Charge has got free, but they failed to inform the ROC. Debt has already been paid and the property has been released and memorandum of satisfaction has been done. The property has been released, but no intimation has been given to the ROC. Then the registrar will inform the affected party. Suppose somebody goes and tells them, give the evidence that, this person has already repaid the money. Then he will give the information to the affected parties and issue the form number CHG5 on its own also. So registrar having receiving the information on behalf of the company from anybody else, from a third party also, they can then also issue the CHG5 form if the satisfaction of charges has been done. Now here again, appointment of receiver or manager is done. Some person is appointed which will be taking care of this charge and will give notice of the appointment and registrar has to deposit this within 30 days and registrar will register the name of this receiver On seasons to hold the appointment, he will again give the notice in CHG 6 form. So Section 84 is very, very simple. He simply tries to tell you that a receiver or manager will be appointed and his intimation has to be given to the registrar. And then Section 85, 86, we've already done. If you're willfully giving any wrong information or concealing or suppressing the material facts, then you will be liable under 447. Read this penalty, it's important. 5 lakh rupees and 50,000 rupees for the officer in report. Anyone having any doubts till here? Section 85, 87 simply tells you that the rectification can be made by the central government. So if any omission has been made, the registrar was not informed about the satisfaction or there was any misstatement, then you can make an application to the CG that we want to get the register that we have created for the register of charge to be rectified. So this rectification power for the memorandum or modification or satisfaction has been given to the central government. If they feel that this modification is possible, there are chances, then they will allow it. Now let's go back to our questions that we were doing. So everybody's clear about this fifth question? Now, this is a very interesting and important question related to your acceptance of deposits, which we have just finished. So we will be doing a merger of the questions now. I give you 2 minutes, just analyze the question and write down the answers in the chat box. And everybody should write. Only one answer received. What about others? Could you figure out? So the company has raised the deposits of 100 crores on 2021 from the public at the rate of 12% per annum, repayable after 3 years. The charge has been created in favor of trustee of depositors against the deposits on the following assets as security, that is land and building 60 crores, plant and machinery. Okay, Lokesh, well tried, but I wanted some analysis. Nothing has been done. Okay, not a problem. Land and building 60 crores, plant and machinery 20 crores, factory share 20 crores, trademark 20 crores, and shall be considered goodwill 25 crores. Explain the validity of charges created. Now, what is he asking you in these questions? He's talking about the deposits accepted from the public. Within 30 days of such acceptance, the charge has to be created on the assets. The amount of charge shall not be less than the amount of deposits. How much deposits are they taking? It should be covering the security which you are giving. The charge in favor of the deposits in accordance with the prescribed rules. Company accepting the secured deposits only on the tangible assets the charge can be created. So goodwill and trademark के ऊपर तो charge आएगा ही नहीं. Value of security should not be less than. Market value is assessed by the registered valuer, and charge created in favor of trustee on specified movable and immovable properties of the company. So first you will have to give them this kind of provision. Now let's do certain calculations. So the value of security on the assets is land and building, plant and machinery, and factory shed. If we have taken it is 100 crores. The deposits accepted and interest payable is 100 का हम 12% into 3 years के लिए अगर करें तो 36 निकल कर आ रहा है plus 100 crores is the principal payment, 36 crore is the interest payment. So the total value of security is less than the amount of deposits accepted. Hence, the charge is not validly created. If you will not write this part, you will not get marks. You will have to explain them. Only writing this answer is not sufficient because he does not know that why you have written this answer. All right, understood everybody? Zero response coming today. What happened, children? Are you understanding or are you having some another class going on? You're attending it that also. Tell me. All right, good, Lakesh. Clear. All right, all right. Krish is on 7th May obtained 25 lakhs working capital loan by offering its stock and account receivable as security and 5 lakh rupees ad hoc overdraft on the personal guarantee of a director from the financial institution. Is the company required to create charge for working capital loan and ad hoc overdraft according to the provisions of Companies Act? Apply your brains and answer me yes or no for this question. Can the charge be done on the working capital loan and the ad hoc overdraft? So Section 2, Clause 16 tells you that the charge has to be created both as a security on any property or assets of the company. Where the company borrow money by way of loans, including term loans and working capitals, or from banks or any other person, security can be given in assets of the lender. Such a charge has to be registered as per Chapter 6, that is, we are doing, of the Companies Act. When Krish obtained working capital loans by offering account receivable, he shall get the charge register. Hence, 25 lakh working capital loan is required to create a charge on it. Also, 5 lakhs overdraft on the personal guarantee since charge is always created on the property, personal guarantee is not a property asset of the company. Okay, so that is not considered as the personal property of the company. It is just a guarantee. Boss Limited is required to create a charge on one of the assets. Hence, the above charge could not be registered within the time period of 30 days. Tell me about the extension of time and procedure to be followed for the registration of charges when the charge is not registered within 30 days of its creation. So what will happen if the charge is not created? So what was the extension of time period? 30 days and then further 30 days. And if it is not registered in that also additional 60 days. Now, will you write about 2nd November 2018 over here or not? He's simply asking you about the extension of time period. He's asking you about any show cause notice has to be given. What is the reason to be supported? So you will give him 60 days and 30 days additional fees. Procedure will be for seeking, the company will record the application to the registrar. To the registrar, it should be supported by a declaration that the company has signed by its CS or directors. Filing the belated return is not adversely affecting the intervening creditors. Remember, this line is very, very important. Application must satisfy the registrar that the company had sufficient reasons for not filing and the instrument has been within the period of 30 days has been filed. Then only he will allow the extension of the time period. However, whatever depending upon the additional ad volume fees will be paid. So if we get ourselves registered in these 60 days, then do we pay the ad valorem fees? No. If we get registered in 30 days, then normal fees, additional 30 days, then additional fees. So first 60 days में सिर्फ additional fees है. अगर इसके बाद भी नहीं होता है, next 60 days में you need to pay the ad valorem fees. Is this clear to everyone? Yes, students? Let us cover some details from the book also. So this penalty contravention 84, 82, we have done this in detail. 83 is also done. 82 show cause notice is very, very important. Remember that chart, 30 days and 300 days. Section 85 simply talks about the registers to be kept. So what is the time period for keeping the register? Tell me. 8 years from the date of satisfaction of charges. What was the meaning of pari passu charge holder? Having the same charge, the second mortgage that you have made, that is also holding the same charge as the first one is holding. Modification of charge का question आ जाता है कई बार एग्जाम में. What is the meaning of modification? Changing the terms and conditions, changing the pari passu charges, rate of interest, repayment schedule. So do read this also. This is your entire procedure of application to be filed by the charge holder. What is the meaning of pari passu in general? Lokesh is asking. Pari passu means that having a same kind of charge. So let's take an example. So for example, I have one car which is a Audi. I'm having an Audi car. So I have borrowed loan from SBI Bank and I have borrowed loan from HDFC Bank. And I've borrowed a loan of 1 lakh from here and I've borrowed a loan of 3 lakhs from SBI Bank. Now, the value of the Audi car is obviously covering the secured amount. Security must be covering the amount of deposits as well as the interest repayment. So, I have given my Audi car to SBI as a first charge. Means tomorrow, SBI, if I don't repay your 3 lakh rupees loan, you can sell my Audi and recover your money. Balance, he will give it back to me definitely. And at the same time, I also borrowed money HDFC Bank for 1 lakh and I created a pari passu charge on the same Audi. Now, this means that if I make a default, both of them can use my Audi car and sell it and realize the money, and both will have the equal footing. So, pari passu ka matlab basically hota hai, equal footing has to be, the charges will be treated equally. Clear, Lakesh? So, bank has advanced 1 crore to Vasudha Medicos against the security of the company's land and building. The charge was created on 1st June 2024. Company did not register the charge in the first 30 days and the charge was registered on 12th August after payment of ad valorem fees. So bank advanced 2 crores against the security on 18 June. The charge should have been registered by 26 June. Okay. The charge was duly registered. It goes into liquidation and the property releases only 2 crores. Bank B will get the repayment in full, but Bank A will not release anything because subsequent registration in favor of bank will not affect the Bank B rights. Now, this is a very important point which tries to tell you if your charge is not registered, the liquidator will not give you any kind of recognition. Remember, I told you under that section that it is very, very important that your charge should be registered. So I borrowed the money from a bank and my charge was not registered, and second person got the charge registered in its favor. Then that person will get the priority whose charge is registered. Now we have only few MCQs which are left. So let's take a small break over here, but we are not going. We are just taking a small break so that you can flip through the pages. Children, utilize these classes. This is your revision. You should ask questions like other students are asking so that you don't have a single doubt in this type of easy chapters. So go through the deposits and registration of charges. I'm going to ask you MCQs after this break. So we're taking a small break here. So I hope no doubt still here. Let's proceed further. Everyone, please read question number 9 and try to answer in the chat box. Star Limited is having its establishment in Canada obtained a loan on the charge of the assets of the foreign establishment. First of all, my question is, can we have the charge on the property which is situated outside India? Yes, ma'am, the property can be within India or outside India. Company wants to defend the notice that it is not the duty of the company to register the charges on the assets not located in India. Give your answers with respect to the provisions of the Companies Act. So, what will you tell in this question? Can we have the charge outside India? Yes. But authorization has to be told. It is the duty of the company to create a charge, whether it is within India or outside India. But the charge created within India has to be certified by so and so people. And if it is outside India, then the certification has to be given. Company has created a loan by creating a charge on the assets. So, it is a duty to get this charge registered. Not to register the charges on the asset is not correct. All right, everybody's clear on this question. So such kind of simple questions can also children sometimes come in which we simply have to tell them. अब इस question में कुछ भी नहीं था, सिर्फ ये बताना था कि yes, can we have the property option? So yes is not the only answer that you have to give. You will have to write these statements. These lines have to be written carefully. Let's read question number 10. Antriksh entered into an agreement for purchasing a commercial property belonging to NRT. At the time of registration, he comes to know that the title deed is not free, and the company expresses its inability to get the title deed transferred, saying that he ought to have the knowledge of charge created. So, what is the meaning of notice of charge? So, law tells you, as per section 80, if the charge is once registered, it becomes a public document. So, shall deem to have the notice of the charge from the date of its registration. If a person acquire any property or assets or undertaking which is already registered, it is deemed that he has a complete knowledge, so his contention is correct. You cannot say that मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था कि इसके against charge created है. Once the charge has been registered, it becomes a public document like your MOA, AOA. Therefore, it is your duty, your responsibility. Like if I'm selling that Audi car, which I've given as a charge to SBI or HDFC Bank, then the person who is buying the car has to make sure that this is free from any charge. I hope the person who is selling it has not created it as a security against any of the loans or borrowings. All right. So section 80 clearly tells you that where any charge has been created under section 77, it is deemed to be having the knowledge of the date of it. Is deemed that any person shall deem to have the knowledge of this charge. Clear? Now first, let's do certain MCQs. An interest on lien on the property or assets of the company or any of its undertaking is known as dash. So it's quiz time. After 8, we generally have the MCQs and quiz. So let's refresh our memories, whatever we have studied from last 2 hours. Sorry. So yes, it's B, the charge. Very good. Correct answer. So section 2, clause 16 defines charge is a debt or a lien. Lavanya, Lukesh. Very good. Do we use the word hypothecation? What is the meaning of hypothecation? Can you tell me? Hypothecation का मतलब क्या होता है? Hypothecation means the documents that you have given on the basis of which you have created a charge. Like if I am creating a charge against the immovable property, then I say, for example, I have taken loan from the bank and I gave my mobile phone as a security. So this is a movable thing I can give, or maybe certain gold has been given. It's a movable good. I can go and get it deposit with the bank. But when it is a land and building, it's an immovable property. It is installed plant and machinery. I cannot pick it up and take it to the bank, right? So then we hypothecate. We have to give something to the bank in order to create this charge. So hypothecation has to be done of the documents. Security is given. Very good, Lavanya. It's a security of documents. But for this MCQ, the interest on lien created on the property and any of its undertaking is known as charge. Okay, the second one, any person acquiring the property on which the charge is given under section 77 shall deem to have the notice of the charge from what date? From the expiry of 30 days, from the date of application of registration, from the date of acquiring the property, from the date of such registration. Tell me. Very good. From the date of such registration, that is, the charge has been registered, not from the date of application, from the date of the registration. So D is the correct answer. हमने अभी पढ़ा section 80 में that any person is acquiring shall deem to have the knowledge from the date of the registration. So for this one, MCQ, D is the correct answer. Third one, a charge was created by C Limited on its office premises to secure a term loan of 1 crore rupees availed from Net Bank Limited through an instrument of charge executed by both the parties on 16 February. Inadvertently, the company could not get the charge registered within the first statutory period, and default was made by the lending banker with a stern warning to take immediate steps for rectification. Tell us the latest date when they come. So first they have not made. So 16th February 2019. What is the 30 days? 16th March. Now what is the next 30 days? So by 17th April. How many of you go with the B? So B is the correct answer. Very good, very good, very good. And additional fees will paid or ad valorem additional fees. Good. The register of charges shall be kept open for inspection by the company, charge holder, holder on payment of fees, or any person. This is interesting. Very nice. By any person, the register shall be open for inspection during business hours by any member or creditor without the payment of fees or by any other person. So anyone can come and inspect the register of charges. The instrument which is creating a charge shall deem to be preserved for a period of dash from the date of satisfaction of the charges. Very simple, 8 years. Only location when they are attending the classes, Mr. Sid, Krishna Goel, Kavya, Dhruti, Rajveer. What happened? Why not responding? Give all the answers of the MCQ. Very good. C is the correct answer. It has to be preserved for a period of 8 years from the date of satisfaction of the charges. Deemed notice of charge. We have already done this. Section 81, just for your inspection, you can see this. Companies register of charges for 8 years you have to maintain. Section 82 also I pasted this in this so that you can just simply go through. You don't have any doubt. All right, we have good enough questions for you ahead also. So Beauty Limited obtained a working capital loan from Nationalized Bank against the hypothecation of stocks. An instrument rating was duly signed by the company. The bank company is not willing to register the charges. Please discuss if there is any power to give a bank charge holder. Tell me, who can register? Can the registrar refuse to register? If someone can raise their hand and answer this question, that will be really great. Any one of you. Such a simple question. We have been talking about this since an hour. Yes, ma'am, the charge holder can go and get itself registered in a period of 30 days. And if it is not done, then further additional period of 270 days, that is total 300 days can be given. Registrar can refuse and not allow if the company registered itself or shows the sufficient cause why this charge has not been registered. And within 14 days, he will have to ask the company to give them the show cause notice. Clear? Question number 12, everyone. All right. DL Limited hypothecated its plans to the nationalized bank and availed a term loan. Finally, we have Dhruti also back in the class. Good, Lavanya, Lokesh, everyone. Company registered the charge with the ROC. The company settled the term loan and requested the bank to issue a letter of settlement. Bank did not respond. What is the procedure to respect the satisfaction of charges? What will you write over here? Take 1 minute and answer this question in the chat box. Yes, everybody's supposed to answer. I'm waiting for your answers, children. Satisfaction of charges. Very good. 300 days time will be allowed. Very good. So 30 days from the date of payment of satisfaction, intimation needs to be sent. The extension of time period to be allowed will be 300 days within a period of additional fees or ad valorem fees, Lokesh. Tell me, is there any need of paying ad valorem fees, satisfaction of charges के case में? All right, everybody's clear? All right, another question in front of you on the screen. Ad valorem fees. No, 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 Lavanya. Ad valorem fees will not be payable, only additional fees. Okay. Yes, Lokesh, only additional fees. Good. ABC created a charge in favor of OK Bank. The charge was duly registered. Bank enhanced the facility of 20 crores due to inadvertence. Modification has been not registered. What is the course of action to be taken? So we have already learned that if company is advised to file an immediate application for rectification under section 87. अगर आपको charge number ना भी याद आया, if you don't remember this, then it's okay. Section 87 is also not mandatory, but you should remember that the application can be filed to the central government. Central government has the power to do the rectifications whenever there is any omission of giving the intimation or if any misstatement has been made for not filing. Hence, he will create this filing can relate to charge, modification, satisfaction, or power of register to make the entries in the register. Anything which is related to section 77, 83, 82, they can make an application to the central government and central government will accordingly do the rectification and take an action. Okay, last question for all of you. Ranjit acquired a property from ABC Limited, which was mortgaged to OK Bank. He settled the dues in full, and the same was registered with the sub-registrar, who has noted that the mortgage has been settled. Neither the company nor the bank has filed the particulars of satisfaction of charges. Can Ranjit approach the registrar and file it? Now, all these questions relate to each and every section of this chapter. So if you really feel that any of the section has not been covered, you can try guessing out the answer for this one. I want all of you to answer this. Everyone should try answering this one. It's an important question. So Section 83 tries to tell you that the registrar has the power to make the entries, even if the company is not coming and telling them, even when the charge holder is not coming and telling them. Then also, if somebody else comes and tells them that the debt has been paid in full or the part of the undertaking has been released, then the registrar will still register this charge and issue CHG 5 form saying that the information will be given to the effective parties within 30 days of making the entry. He will issue CHG 5 form. So Ranjit can approach the registrar and show the evidence to his satisfaction that the charge has been duly satisfied and request him to make the entry. Is that clear to everyone? I hope everyone is clear on this one. So students, I hope you, yes, Lokesh, absolutely the correct conclusion that you have written is wonderful. So I hope you have enjoyed revising chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. You have also been answering all the MCQs and descriptive questions. Let me see if we can handle certain questions from the module. I hope you don't have any doubts from the module also. Let's quickly go through the MCQs in the module also. We still have 5-6 minutes. So children, did you notice that all the sections of these tiny chapters are important? ये नहीं कि अब छोटा चैप्टर है ना तो इसको सारा ही कवर कर लेना so that आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन छूटे नहीं एग्जाम में. Any person acquiring the property on which the charge has been registered shall deem to have the notice from the date of what date? From the date of registration of the charges. Very good. A charge was created by Sinus Software Limited on its office premises on the term known of 1 crore availed from Next Gen Commercial Bank through an instrument executed by both the parties. Inadvertently, the company cannot file it. I think we have done similar kind of question. Yes, this is not done. Who cannot inspect the register of charges and instrument of charges during the business hours without paying the fees? Okay, tell me this one. Persons other than the member and creditor of the company. Absolutely correct. Then you can see what kind of questions have been coming in the exam. Instrument creating of the charge. We have just done that. How it can be verified property inside out and outside India. Now, how you have to revise once you have done all of your chapter now, just go through the questions and think if the answers are coming, related answers come to your mind or not. And if the related answers are coming, then it's fine. That means you're going on a right track. We just did this Ranjit one question also. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed the session and there are no more doubts. If still anyone wants to ask anything, I can still take up one question. We have done this one also. Before the MCQs, I had one more question which you all can solve. Have you done this one? So DN Limited hypothecated its plant. Have you done this question, children? Tell me. Mutatis mutandis means that all the provisions of that particular chapter are applicable to them. So generally we use this term in foreign companies, Lokesh, when we say that chapter number 9 and 10 will be mutatis mutandis applicable to your foreign companies also. That means whatever you have studied under chapter 9 relating to provisions of accounts of companies and the auditors, so similar provisions are applicable to those chapters also. Anyone still having any doubts? When will be the case-based questions? Mr. Sid, what are you asking? All the questions that we have discussed today were case-based. They were all descriptive questions. Anybody else having any doubts? No doubts? Clear about chapter 5 and 6? Thank you, Lukesh. Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you enjoyed the session and you have been all a wonderful audience. You have been responding and answering everything nicely. That's great. Thank you, Lavanya. All right, so I cannot find out any of the queries in the chat box. I'm remembering the concepts with the provisions. That's great. So that is the idea of these kind of sessions so that you know how to write the answers. So even if you're writing the provisions and giving a short analysis of the facts of the case and giving the conclusion, then also you can fetch good marks. And also try to case scenario. What is Mr. Sid asking? Mr. Sid, can you raise your hand? I can talk to you if you have any problem.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes,
ma'am,
tell
we
me.
will do case-based scenario.
Uh-huh. So all the questions that we did in today's session were case-based scenario only, okay? These kind of questions can only come. इसके अलावा कोई और नहीं होते केस बेस्ड. केस बेस्ड का मतलब होता है कि आपको उसने समरी बनाकर दी हुई है कि इस सिचुएशन में अगर ऐसा हुआ, अगर उसने फाइल नहीं करा तो आप क्या करोगे. लिखनी आपने प्रोविजंस ही होती. All right? Got it? So now I see you in the next lecture on 27th of November. That is, we are going to have a good revision of MGT, Management and Administration. So the tiny chapters in between we have covered and all the big chapters also we have covered. Thank you so much, Lokesh. I'm so thankful to you for such a lovely comment. And I'm glad also that you answered so well and enjoyed the class. All right. So be there on 27th and all right. Just a second. Let me just add this. All right, student. Thank you so much, sir. We are done with the session. Thank you, sir.